They examined 37 DNA sequences containing at least 50,000 base pairs, and one with 2.2 million base pairs. The lead researcher, Eugene Stanley, said, non-coding DNA sequences do contain a structured language fundamentally unlike the coding in genes. We therefore need to consider the possibility that the junk DNA may carry some kind of message. It carries a software program directing human behavior so that we play Monopoly. This is why when you become conscious, you break out of these ritual structures to an increasing extent. You're breaking out of the software. You're no longer driving your behavior. Russian DNA research. It appears that the languages we were looking for are in fact hidden in the 98% junk DNA contained in our own genetic apparatus. The basic principle of these languages is similar to the language of holographic images based on principles of laser radiations of the genetic structures which operate together as a quasi-intelligent system. What I would suggest, too, is one of the key influences of the Saturn Moon Matrix broadcast is to act like a laser, reading that software program put in during the genetic manipulation within non-coding junk DNA. And as it reads it, it is driving human behavior, which is why human behavior, 7 billion people, expressions of all that is, has been, and ever can be, are so unbelievably predictable in their behavior and responses. So in this way, they gave us their mind. It's like a hive mind that we are part of when we're not conscious, which is like the queen bee or the queen ant sending out the broadcast, and the workers are following the broadcast and doing the will of the central control system. These structures of power, like politics, and which I'm going to get into in the next section, you know, the world today, the world we live in, that level of manipulation, we're coming down into that. But you can't really understand that without all the things that have gone before. Banking, politics, media, business, religion, medicine, they're all expressions of this control system, which is expressions of this hive mind we're connected to. And people, these people who have no, you must come across them, they get worse. These people in uniform and dark suit administrators who part of the genetic manipulation done on them is they have a crack in the top of their head where they fit the freaking rule book, you know. And you ask them what the weather's like, and they have to consult the rule book. I mean, you know, it's unbelievable. They are even more locked in. They have no ability to think for themselves, no ability to assess the situation. Like my father used to say, rules and regulations are for the guidance of the intelligent, and the blind obedience of the bloody idiots. But it's blind obedience that we have, because we cannot function outside the system. And when you look at mainstream science again, when you look at the traits, they say, the character traits we get from the reptilian brain, they are primitive and emotional responses, cold-blooded behavior and territoriality, this is mine, stay out. A desire to control, an obsession with hierarchical structures of power, aggression, might is right, winner takes all. Again, I'm describing the system and the world that we're living in. And the reptilian brain is driving so much of our behavior. And because the reptilian brain is what it is, it connects us also very powerfully to this matrix, this collective mind. Now, what the reptilian brain is doing is constantly scanning the environment for threats. It doesn't think, it reacts to threats. So, not just threats physically, threats to your relationship, threats to your job, threats to your self-esteem or whatever, threats to your belief system. It's scanning for all these threats. And it doesn't think, it reacts. So when you're driving along in a car and someone walks in front of you, it's the reptilian brain, related parts of the brain, smack your hands on. They don't go, oh, someone's got in front of my car. You know what you do, darling? Yeah, I mean, what? I mean, no useless. What is it? Bang! Gone. Now, that's fine when someone walks in front of your car. It ain't fine when that impacts on the rest of our lives, where we're not thinking it through or working it out. We're reacting. And this is what road rage is and all this stuff. And when we've gone, oh my goodness me, I was over the top, wasn't it? What was I doing? What was I doing? That was the reptilian brain. And the other thing is, the reptilian brain is constantly scanning for threats. In other words, the reptilian brain is coming all the time from a place of fear. The more that we can be made to fear in all its different expressions, the more we are locked into the reptilian brain level of perception decoding. So be afraid, be very afraid. The big bad monster's coming as soon as we've invented it. It's one of the reasons we get so many things to frighten us. Terrorism, global warming, swine flu, the economy, I don't like her, I don't like him, It's all putting us in this state of fear, which are locking us into the reptilian brain level of perception decoding. And money is the same. You know, there was a guy, an anthropologist, he wrote an article in the Los Angeles Times years ago now, where they just made the dinner place bigger in Southern California restaurants, you know. And what he was saying was, the reptilian brain perceives having far more than necessary as a better chance of survival. So you get these people, or these neo-reptilian people, who have, look at Warren Buffett. I mean, they've got more money than they can spend in 100 lifetimes, and yet they get up with the sun every day that makes them more. This obsession with more and more and more comes from the reptilian brain. And so it's driving our behavior. And when we disconnect from that, then we take a lot of our control of our behavior back. I'll get to that later. Now, this is what Don Juan Matter said about how this influences our behavior. I know in collective mind. I know now, even now, that though you have never suffered hunger, you have food anxiety, which is none other than the anxiety of the predator, which fears that at any moment now its maneuver is going to be uncovered and food is going to be denied. Because once we stop producing this low vibrational emotion, we go into the heart, we go into love, kindness, and peace between us, then, the restaurant's shut. We're not giving them what they need in terms of frequency. Through the mind, which is, after all, their mind, the predators inject into the lives of human beings whatever is convenient for them, and they ensure, in this manner, a degree of security to act as a buffer against their fear. This is so powerful and so true. Sorcerers of ancient Mexico reasoned that man must have been a complete being at one point, with stupendous insights, feats of awareness that are mythical legends nowadays. And then everything seems to disappear, and we have now a sedated man. What I'm saying is that what we have against us is not a simple predator. It is very smart and organized. It follows a methodical system to render us useless. Man, the magical being that he is destined to be, is no longer magical. He's an average piece of meat. There are no more dreams for man, but the dreams of an animal who is being raised to be a piece of meat, trite, conventional, imbecilic. Like I say, intelligent enough to be a slave, but not intelligent enough to work it out. Control of perception. That is the key of everything. Right down into the next section I'm going to talk about. It's the modus operandi. Destroy a civilization with great characters and using your technological know-how, and then genetically tune your target population into your matrix, and you then control from then on until they work it out, which can be a long, long time. And the biggest part, the crucial part of this process is to stop people being influenced by consciousness beyond mind body. They have to have us here, or we can't be controlled. And when I look at the Avatar movie, it carries so many elements. I'm not saying cameras needed to do it, I'm just saying what it does to me. First of all, you had people, the blue people, on this Pandora, who were in harmony with each other, in harmony with nature and animals, plants and trees. And then here we go. Along come the technological, left-brain, intellectual traps, symbolized here as American military. And in they come, they've got no understanding whatsoever of the blue people's way of life, and they come in with their technology. I don't care what you're doing, there's resources under there that are worth money, and they come in and do all that crap. And this is the reptilian mentality. Why is the American military and other militaries, why do they act like this? Because they are more than anybody, possibly, connected to this reptilian mind, more than anybody outside their mind. And they even had, in the Avatar movie, the theme of the blue people's society being infiltrated by the Americans taking on blue people bodies so that they could take over while thinking that they were one of them. That is exactly what has happened on Earth. And one thing, before we have a break, because these reptilians are in a different, basically frequency reality, they can see down the timeline further than we can within this reality. Because this is projected forward a long time. And therefore, if you can get access with invisible light to the inner sanctums of secret societies, where this projected agenda exists and is known, then you can write prophetic novels that decades down the road, people are going, it's amazing, it's exactly as he said, and it's exactly as he said. And it's not done from their imagination, partly maybe, but largely not. It's done through knowledge of the projected agenda. One of those secret societies is called the Fabian Society, which is the created the British Labour Party of Tony Blair and the Australian Labour Party and all that stuff. I'm sure has influence here. This is its logo, a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, they're not giving it away, are they? And the other thing is, Fabian comes from Fabius, who was a Roman general who had a particular modus operandi. He would not fight battles that could be decisive either way, win or lose. What he did was wear down the enemy over a long period of time, and when they're weakened, you just walk in and take over. And that's what's happening to humans. We're just being weakened already. They're trying to make us do that. So eventually they'll walk in and take the whole bloody show over, openly, not in the shadows anymore. Sort of done Tony Blair was Fabian and all that stuff. And when people have said to me over the years, what is this system that they want? I said, well, you can read two books. 1984 by George Orwell and Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Orwell's book 1948 came out, Huxley's book 1932. And because he tells you about the police state and the perpetual war, we have that, the war on terror. How can you tell that a war on terror is ending? You can't. You've got a perpetual war. And then, Aldous Huxley will talk about the genetic and the drugs and other than social engineering levels of it. Well, it just so happens that Aldous Huxley taught Eric Blair, George Orwell, French at Eton College, this elite college outside near Windsor Castle where the royal children go. And he was a big member of the Fabian Society who introduced him to it. And that's where they accessed their knowledge of the projected agenda. He absolutely agreed with it. He, it seems, was trying to finish 1984 when he was dying to try to alert people. And there are people that say, and they may be right, that he called it 1984 as a code because 1984 was the 100th anniversary of the Fabian Society. So these people knew, and that's why their novels are so accurate. So we have a situation where they think the takeover is almost complete, that the game is over. It's only just begun, because we're just beginning to understand how the game's played. I'll get into this world now in 15 minutes.